Video coverage of IT Expo is brought to you by Content Boost, the content marketing specialists. Amplify your sales today.
Rich Tarani here. We're at IT Expo 2014 Miami. It is a balmy 75 degrees or so, while the rest of the U.S. is covered in ice and snow. And I'm fortunate enough to have today on the program Andy Abramson. He is the founder and CEO of Comunicado. And Andy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Rich. A great show it has been.
Thank you so much.
I'm very impressed with the job that your whole entire team has done at making it look so good, at filling it up with people, but also having a lot of new companies on the floor bringing new things to light.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a very exciting week so far. This is day 3. I guess it was a pre-conference on Monday. Today's Thursday, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, actually day 4. Wow, this conference has been going on for a while.
And you weathered the storm.
So much stuff. Yeah, so much stuff is going on. My head is spinning. I think some of the cool things that I saw were the M2M areas, a lot of activity. WebRTC was really hot. Cloud always is very hot. What kinds of things have you seen?
WebRTC, Super Wi-Fi, M2M would be the 3 hot areas, and also some of the more inventive established players, like I saw Sansei with their WebSBC, which is really important to the whole WebRTC movement. I saw Yealink bringing out new hardware. You got Grandstein bringing out new hardware, though guys like you and I are more into the software and the apps and all that these days because we're constantly on the go. But it was great to see that there's still imagination coming out of companies that have been staples here at IT Expo for as long as I've been coming. So it's great to see that the older established companies are not resting on their laurels and they're bringing out new services. Yes, they're using the cloud. So in the old days, some people used to build pizza boxes and put them in a rack server somewhere or do it on the prem. Everybody's embraced the cloud. Everybody's clearly embracing mobile. On a couple of the panels I had, CEO Dave Gilbert of Simple Signal was talking about, hey, the whole world's gone mobile. You got to be going mobile. You got to be thinking mobile. We also have seen a shift in the way people are looking at the cloud. A few years ago, the cloud was kind of like taboo. You want to have it in your own data center. I think people are realizing that the true meaning of cloud, where you're collapsing everything and you're using common software, letting it work when it needs to work on demand, is the wave of the future. Also that we're seeing, as you go through here, that there's a rethinking of the channel. You know, I was in one of the panels, and I think the channel is starting to become more and more a challenge for the company that has to sell as well as the buyer, and you're starting to see more and more direct buying and direct selling.
Is that because they just haven't evolved to this new model of cloud and hybrid and just all the new things that are happening in the market?
I think people are used to things happening faster, and the channel tends to slow it down.
Right.
You're handing the lead off to somebody, that somebody's taking the lead, they're working the lead. Yes, they still play a role, but time is collapsing. So what used to be 90 days is now 45. What was 45 is going to be 20. What was 20 is going to be tomorrow.
So I wanted to talk a bit about you and your company. You are a tech visionary going back decades, having one of the first internet radio shows on technology, and now running an agency that represents a number of technology companies. And one of the things that you do really well is you help your clients with exits to public markets, acquisitions. I was hoping we could talk a little bit about that and what differentiates you there.
Well, I think the support that we give in helping the companies get to that point, either at the beginning, the middle, or the end, or all the way through, is part of our DNA. I never thought of it, but my very first job was with a startup when I was 14 years old. It was a startup professional lacrosse team. There had never been professional lacrosse in Philadelphia, and I was like employee number 10. When you think about it, I was only 14. The second job I ever had with the Philadelphia Flyers was a startup operation called Hockey Central. I was 16. I took that and ran it for the next 11 years after being there for 2 years. So for 13 years I was there. It was a startup, and every year I was starting up something new. So startup was in my DNA. When I look at my third job was with the Denver Nuggets. I was in the corporate account management team, bringing in multi-million-dollar sponsorships. I helped inflate the value, and it was sold while I was there. So I guess that was the first exit I was ever involved in, but I never looked at it until one day I was looking back and saying, gee, I've done startups, I've done companies in transition, I've helped create value, and I've led them to exit. And then as time went on, I did the corporate thing, and I did the agency thing, and then I opened up my own shop. We like, in the agency that I've built, we love working with the early stage guys who know what they want to do with their product, but they don't know how to communicate about it. They don't know how to tell their story. They don't have a story to tell. Engineers are the worst at telling a story because they want to make sure it's perfect before they say it.
Right.
So we try and get them over that hump of being, unsure and just get it out there that it's, concise, consistent, credible, compelling, and contagious. If you can do all those 5 things with a good story, reporters and editors will get it, analysts will get it, and we tell the story in such a way by putting our spin on it that makes it successful. We've done it now 32 times in 14 years. I gave up thinking it was luck about 7 years ago.
So what are some of the mistakes that you've seen that the viewers will benefit from hearing about? Just things that companies have done that they shouldn't have done, they could have done better.
So the first thing is hiring an amateur. A professional is expensive, an amateur costs you a fortune. You hire the wrong people and you end up with amateur results. So pick your people properly. Number 2, let the pros tell you what to do. Don't tell them how to do it. So think of outside suppliers who are experts like the old days, the secretary. If you told the secretary how to do it, nothing would get done. But if you told the secretary what you needed done, they would run off and get it done for you, and you were happy with what came back. So think of, that's the second thing. The third thing is know your market and work with your market the right way. Understand distribution, understand the competition. Don't be saying we're the only ones who do what we're doing when, my gosh, there's 20 companies have been doing it that failed. It's just silly. So don't over expect. I know there's a lot of firms that do a lot of what we do. I just think that we're not the best at what we do. We're the only ones who do it the way we do it. And there's a very nice nuance there about we're the only ones who do it the way we do it, which separates us. We like to create value for our clients. Does it always work out? No. Sometimes we don't do everything right, and sometimes they don't. But we have a very good hitting average or batting percentage or shots on goal percentage. The key is when you look at these startups, a lot of them are underfunded. More and more, you're seeing companies come out on using a crowdfund reward basis. They're raising maybe a few $100,000. Well, in the old days, that company never would have even seen the light of day. They would have been waiting until they raised their first round of $6 to $8 million. Now we're seeing Series A rounds or seed rounds of $1 million, $1.5 million. But the expectations are that company's going to grow as fast as somebody did 5 years ago with $7 million in venture capital. I don't see those same things working, but what I do see...
A few hits, but rare.
But what I do see is...
Kind of like apps.
Yeah.
A few runaways, but rare.
Features are being set up as businesses today. So the ability is to propel the features to the right audience and to change the model of how you communicate and stand those companies up. The whole crowdsourcing world is changing. The crowdfunding model is changing. So we're adapting with it and looking at how to run a business. And quite honestly, I'm looking at the whole communications world in a very strange way. I'm thinking like a hacker. You have to think like a hacker.
A white
today.
hat hacker.
A white hat, yeah. When I say a hacker, break it down. When you look at the hottest companies on the market today, Airbnb, Uber, for Uber cars, they completely broke down the business models of how people rented or used something.
Right.
And in turn, they figured out how do you make convenience down to one button. So look, if I need to get a car when I'm in New York or San Francisco, I pull out Uber, this is where I'm at, tap, this is what I need, tap, and the car's there. That to me is simplicity. That's the same thing that Steve Jobs did with the iPhone, where you're pretty much to 3 taps and you're in any app.
So walk me through a final question here. You're in an elevator with a potential client and he has an idea and his goal is to exit within a certain number of years, and you've got, let's say, 90 seconds to 2 minutes to tell him all the steps he needs to follow to do that.
Build your story, get it out to the right audience, make sure you deliver on your promise of what you said the first time. Deliver just what you need to get customers using you, and then build from there. Don't overbuild, don't over-engineer, and most importantly, don't overthink. You know what your idea is, you know who you want to sell it to, you know who you want to exit to. Let's make it happen. That's a lot less than 90 seconds.
That's great. We're only halfway up the building. Fantastic, great job, and great to see you again as
Great to
always.
see you, Rich.
Video coverage of IT Expo is brought to you by Content Boost, the content marketing specialists. Amplify your sales today.